All right, I'm Mike Moranto for DaemenWildcats.com, and we're continuing our Where Are They Now Alumni Spotlight series today with former volleyball player Alicia Contreras. Alicia, how are you? Thanks for being here today.
Hi, I'm well. Hope you guys are doing great. Thanks for having me.
So, Alicia, you played volleyball here from 2014 to 2016. And we're gonna jump into what your career was like. But I want you to tell me first of all how it was that you ended up here, being that you're a native of Arcadia, California, and you've got I think maybe a unique story about how you ended up here with some family ties. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally came from Arcadia, California. My older brother, Jared Contreras, played soccer at Daemen, so we visit every single year to watch them play. He was part of the athletic training program as well, so we loved the tight-knit community that Daemen offered. And coming from Arcadia, that's what I wanted. I came from a very large high school, and my older brother was already here. We loved coming to Buffalo, so we were like, why not? I'll just join the team and come on and become a Daemen Wildcat. But I didn't play my freshman year, which was a little different. But it was also kind of nice. I got to get my footing and my identity outside of being an athlete or a volleyball player. That was very much my identity back home, and got to enjoy everything else that came along with being a Daemen Wildcat. And then got to join the team my sophomore year, and it was great.
now, I guess even though you had the family tie with Jared, and by the way, we're looking forward. I think Jared's going to be featured in one of these alumni spotlights here in the coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to catching up with him. For the layperson out there, I'm sure that might sound like culture shock coming from California to Buffalo. What did you know about the Buffalo area before even considering it?
I just knew that it was a very small, tight knit, everyone knows everyone, city of the good neighbors, and just willing to help each other out. The second that even Jared was there, everyone was like, "Oh, you're Jared Contreras' little sister," even when I wasn't even planning on going to Daemen in the first place, and I was like a sophomore in high school. So it was definitely just that whole family atmosphere without being an actual by blood, and then being able to say, wow, we're actually really close to Niagara Falls, Canada's over there. And just the uniqueness that Buffalo brought, where back home it was very fast paced, like you're in it for yourself, and that's pretty much all that there is. So it was nice for that little change of scenery.
Well, I think you certainly embraced it. You continued to make the Buffalo area home here, which we're going to get into in a little bit about what you're doing professionally here. But before we get there, you mentioned that you didn't play as a freshman. I guess what led you to wanting to join the team as a sophomore?
I really miss the sport of volleyball. I went to all the games my freshman year because I became really good friends with Amber Drismall and a few of the other volleyball girls. And we would just play in the gym and pepper. And they were like, oh, maybe you should join the team. Like, what should we do? And I said, okay. So I reached out to Mark the summer that I was home, and he found a picture of me serving online. And he was like, oh, I like your form. Why don't you come try out sophomore year? So we came and tried it out, and the rest was history. It was amazing. The girls really encouraged me to join. Bridget Nyland also encouraged me. She said, I think this would be a great opportunity for you. I no longer felt burnt out from volleyball and that being my entire year. I just missed the sport in general, and the small little tight-knit community that the volleyball is here in Western New York was very unique as well, because they all played growing up together, and they're like, oh, it's going to be so much fun. We all played each other against in high school, and now we get to play on the same team together. And I was just a little California girl coming in saying, well, I'd just like to be a part of the team. I'll cheerlead you guys on. And it turned out to be great. I don't regret it for one moment. And I'm glad I took that year off. I think I just needed to be able to reboot and not feel the burnt out, which led into my career later on, and I'm passionate about what I do. But it was definitely a unique experience, and I don't regret it for a second.
Well, you did a little bit more than cheerlead. You were a key contributor there for 3 years. Um, really as a serving sub. You were second on the team in service aces that first year, and really developed into a key defensive player for the team. And I'm wondering, you mentioned Mark Parisi, who was the head coach at the time, your first year. And you kind of came in at a time of transition. In your 3 years with the program, you played for 3 different head coaches, and really were a part of the I want to say growth, but the increased level of competition for the program. You guys go from 2 wins your first year to 25 your senior year, and we're going to get into that senior year team in a minute. But I guess, what was the experience like, and how did you guys go from 2 wins to 25 in 3 years?
I think it went with a lot of perseverance and work ethic. Like you mentioned, I did come in at a very unique time where even though we were 2 and 22, which is what we always joke about with the girls, my sophomore year, we got a lot of unique experiences from that year and learned how small of a bubble Western New York is and how we really put ourselves out there, which I also don't regret, only because we got to see how other teams play in other parts of the country, which is very unique. And given the fact that our league at the time had a lot of international players, it helped prepare us for what we need to be as a team. And if we wanted to be able to compete at the level we were trying, we no longer could have the attitude of, we're just here to have fun, or, we really want to be competitive, especially moving into NCAA Division II. And really taught how we have to be a team in order to win. You can't be an individual just going out there. And so with that being said, it was very unique because we got to then have 2 new head coaches our following year. That was a little bit of a surprise to us, but I don't think necessarily in the worst sense, only because it taught us that, through no matter what, we're still a team, we're a family. You got to continue to move forward. We can't harp on the past. And if we don't want to have another 2 and 22 season, we have to let it go, or at least learn from it. We're all great players individually. How can we come together as a team? And that year we were doing extremely well, but we were in transition. So we needed to not be as hard on ourselves we have entirely new culture that we're trying to build, new girls coming in. We had a huge freshman class that year, and some that weren't recruited by our new coaches. So just trying to manage all of that. And then our senior year, it really came together because we were fully out of transitioning from all the new coaches, really knew each other. And a few of us really tried to take the leadership of saying, we're here to play, we're here to win, and we're here to be a family. And that's it at the end of the day. And so that's kind of where we ended up, and tried not to necessarily focus on the negative that could easily have brought us down and continue to be 2 and 22.
I'm glad you framed it that way, because I don't think, looking back, there's nothing to be ashamed of. That was a very, very young team in 2014, and that was also our second year as a member of the East Coast Conference. So again, transitioning from NAI to Division II, there's bound to be some growing pains along the way, and I think you did an eloquent job of explaining the process there that you went through, even with some coaching changes along the way. Bob Maxwell comes in 2015, and then Stephanie Albano, who was with the program in 2015 as the associate head coach, she took over on a full-time basis in 2016. And that's your senior year, Alicia. We mentioned you guys go 25 and 8, 13 and 1 in the league. So really, really, in the context of years, you go from, again, 2 wins in 2014 to 25 just 2 years later. You guys win the East Coast Conference regular season championship, host the conference tournament here, and then end up hosting the NCAA tournament here and make it all the way to the regional finals. What was that experience like?
It was a whirlwind. I think when we were in the nit and grit of it, it was a little scary, only because we were trying to manage the fact that we're finishing up like my senior year of school, trying to figure out what we want to do with the rest of our lives at the same time of we were on such a roll and had great chemistry, and we started up the year so strong that we felt as though we were due for a championship and to go all the way. So trying to put everything aside and really burn through it of all of those weekends. And we were actually pretty fortunate that year too, where we had a lot of home games. So we utilized that, and we utilized the community and the family that we had. And going into the conference championships and losing in them, but still going into it, it was just a unique experience overall. And the fact that we lost there, but we knew, all right, well, in 2 weeks we're hosting, no one gets to host. We're the first team that ever got to host at Daemen for any sort of championship at that level. Let's go out there, let's win. And Steph was an amazing coach, and in and of itself, she always taught us of, all right, you lost, let's look at what we did wrong and how we can improve. Not, all right, you did this wrong, this is what you need to do. We were always trying to see different ways to improve and different ways to communicate with each other and stay strong, because you're getting so close to being at the end and wanting it so bad that it's easy to start to get a little burnt out. And I think athletics department in general did such a great job as well, because we were hosting everything and it was every weekend. We didn't have a break. We had maybe like 6 hours on a Sunday. And it was just, all right, who can come together to support all of these young ladies who are trying to make their dream happen? And we lost in the Sweet 16, which was also a little rough, but I think it just goes to show where the program could go and how you can take something that could very much deter any athlete of saying we were really bad, but it wasn't so much that we were bad, we just didn't know how to play together yet. Because like you mentioned, we were very young. We had turnover of leadership. We had all of these different obstacles that we could have easily wiped our hands and said we were done, but we came to really win my senior year, and I was so proud. And we had a young team then too. We had sophomore hitters on the outside. We had our rookie setter who was rookie of the year, which doesn't happen for setting very often. And we had all these amazing players the entire time. We had Amber who killed it. We had Courtney Bernard, who's an amazing middle right side. We had all these amazing players who just came together and worked as a unit. And that just made it, like, looking back at it now, I'm not like, oh, we lost in Sweet 16. I'm like, we made it to Sweet 16 when we were still very, very new to Division II and still trying to make a name for ourselves. So I just look at it as a blessing as opposed to, oh, but if you asked me 2 years ago, it might not have been the same answer. But it's just we're part of such a unique experience. I still have the NCAA volleyball banner that Steph gave me my senior year that was hung up in athletics for the longest time. And she gave it to all of her athletes who are part of for the long ride. And I want the girls to bring back another one, hopefully sooner rather than later. But
well, let's hope they can get back on the court this spring. They've got a pretty veteran-laden team, so we'll see what happens. But you mentioned Bridget Nyland as someone that encouraged you to even join the team here, and I think you've kind of developed this unique relationship with Bridget. For anybody that doesn't know, Bridget was not only our athletic director during your time here as an athlete, but a professor, teaches in the business administration program, oversees the sport management program, which you're a graduate of. And you're now, I should mention, you're a double graduate of Daemen. We should mention that too. 2017 bachelor's degree, 2018 master's degree. But you're now working professionally for Bridget, as Bridget's kind of moved on to a different role with the Community Foundation for Greater Buffalo, and you're overseeing Project Play in Western New York. What is Project Play, and what are you guys doing?
So Project Play, Bridget is the director of Project Play, the youth sports initiative that stemmed out of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. I am the Project Play Western New York coordinator. So I support Bridget and the entire initiative. And we envision a region really in Western New York where all kids have the opportunity to be active through sports regardless of zip code, as well as focusing on healthier kids, healthier families, and at the end of the day, healthier communities, and just providing access and resources. We're in a very unique situation, and we're extremely fortunate for the fact that we get to work with the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, who have a legacy in and of itself in Western New York, and this passion that there wasn't always a direct fund for youth sports, or trying to reimagine the landscape of what youth sports look like. And it's not so much of a priced out or pushed out or burnt out culture as much as it used to be. Like I mentioned, I was burnt out of sports by the time I was a senior in high school. And it's because from age 12, I was playing in volleyball tournaments 24/7. Very fortunate to come from California, but we have a club on every single corner of every single street for anything. And I'm a product of the elite model, and it was very successful for me, but also looking at it younger of, okay, so let's provide more opportunities for kids who may not think that they're a basketball player, so they may not think they're an athlete, but they may be a good runner or a good tennis player, just providing more opportunities so that they're lifelong athletes. And want to continue to then instill, okay, kids, like, let's go try this sport and let's go do this, and helping even bring in younger coaches and training the coaches, working on social emotional learning and providing those resources. Reffing is also a big issue too, of providing more and just making it a continuous process and a continuous loop. And so no one's out of youth sports. Like, you can be an athlete, but you don't need to be a prime time elite athlete. But even if you're just playing in a house league, rec league, doesn't mean anything. It's just that you're a family and you're part of a sport and you're active, and bringing back free play, sandlot days, playing outside with your kids, imagination. Because if you can get a kid to fall in love with soccer without even realizing they're playing soccer, then that's perfect. And they might try a different sport that spins off from that. So that's kind of a little bit about what we do. Is we provide resources to the community. We provide different community conversations to bring people in, discuss what's happening at the national level. How can we help instill change in Western New York? Who can we help fund? And what can we help the backbone support of, so that when we're gone, Project Play is the spend down of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation is in 2035. So when 2035 hits, have we left Western New York youth sports culture for the better? And have we instilled different initiatives and made all of those youth serving organizations sustainable, so that we left our mark and it was great, and now all these kids are playing who never even thought it was in their wheelhouse to play? And just working on that landscape is what we do every single day, among other things, but that's our main priority.
Well, there you have it. You know, we mentioned it, Alicia, you're a California native, but you're a Buffalonian now, and you're making a difference in our community and in our region day after day. And we certainly thank you and Bridget for the work that you guys are doing to make this a better place, and to make sure that kids have these opportunities regardless of what their socioeconomic background is. I know that's a big part of it as well. I think we'll end it there. I think you pretty much covered it all. Couldn't even get a follow-up question in, because you had that pretty well prepared. But thank you for joining us. She's the captain of the 2016, co-captain of the 2016 women's volleyball team that went to the NCAA tournament here, Alicia Contreras. Thank you again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, you got it.